Verlin Kenninger here with Demco Products, and today we're going to take a little bit deeper dive into our automatic sliding hitches and how they operate and the capture plate system that's built in on top. So what we have here today is our 21K automatic sliding hitch, and we'll talk just a little bit about its function and operation. So this hitch has what we call a rack and pinion gear system. There's a half moon shaped gear underneath this upper slide assembly down here in the base. There are two rack gears located right here, bolted inside the base. And so how the hitch works is the head needs to stay with the trailer. In other words, it needs to turn with the trailer. As the head turns, it drops into the gear system, and the gear system actually walks it up to 14 inches backwards, and the head will automatically walk itself back 14 inches forward, and it'll do that both in forward and reverse. So how does that happen with the hitch? I want to talk a little bit about our incorporated capture plate system. So what we have here is what we call our capture plate system right on top. This works with any standard non-suspension pin box. And you can see right here we've got threaded shafts that attach to the capture plates themselves. And this is adjustable from 14 inches down to 12 inches. And how this works is what you would want to do is take a measurement of the pin box on your trailer. So for example, if your pin box is 12 inches wide, we would set the capture plates 12 1/8 inches apart. We're keeping a 1/16 of an inch on each side to allow the pin box to slide in and out of this capture plate system. Then as you're traveling down the highway or traveling in the campground, finding a campsite, parking at home, whatever it may be, the pin box of the trailer is going to be captured inside of these plates, and as you turn, the head is going to turn, which is going to initiate the slide. So that's how the standard built-in capture plates work. We do have some other accessory capture plates. If you have a capture plate that, if you have a pin box that is not parallel, or if you have a suspension style pin box, and we'll talk about those next. Next, we'll briefly touch on our capture plate. This is for the Lippert Rotaflex, the Lippert Flex Air, and as well the Road Armor branded pin boxes. It is a part number 6171. This is a capture plate for a MORryde. If you have a MORryde capture pin box with the 4 cushioned suspension system, this is a part number 6025 from Demco for a MORryde. This is for a 5th Airborne pin box. This capture plate connects to the pin box. It is a part number 6025. This capture plate is a little more universal. It is a part number 6295. It's used with a 5th Airborne 2020 and newer. It also works on a Lippert Turning Point pin box, and it works on the new Gen Y pin boxes. This capture plate at number 6036 is for a Demco Glide Ride pin box. And last but certainly not least, this is a part number 6095. It is for the Tri Glide pin box by Lippert. We're going to take just a few moments to talk about the Demco 6335 capture plate for the Lippert Rhino Pin Box. The Rhino Pin Box is a tapered style pin box, and I'm going to hold up this piece of paper. I don't have the pin box in front of me, but the nose of the pin box, the very front of it, is tapered and is wider at the back. That does not work well with our capture plate system, so what we need to do is square that off and make it nice and square. So what Demco's come up with is a part number 6335. This plate will bolt onto the bottom of your pin box on your trailer. Kingpin will come down through this hole. The sides of the pin box are going to lay right in here. We're going to take these two plates, set them on there, just like this. Bolts and Loctite come with the kit. We use a 3/8 inch bolt, 3 on each side. And what we're doing is sandwiching that this plate to the pin box. What that does is it creates a nice straight edge for our capture plates on our Autoslides. Again, part number 6335 for a Rhino Pin Box by Lippert. Today we're going to talk about part number 6171 from Demco. This is our capture plate system, and it is for the Lippert Rotaflex pin box, the Lippert Trailair FlexAir pin box, as well as some pin boxes you'll see branded with Road Armor. How this capture plate system works is it is taller and longer than the capture plates that come with the Autoslide. As you'll see, you have threaded shanks here and the 4 jam nuts. You just simply remove the capture plates that came with the automatic sliding hitch from Demco and you replace them with part number 6171. The reason we need these capture plates on those pin boxes is the pin box is rounded at the bottom, and that rounding can sometimes cause it to get up on top of or try to damage the edge of our standard pin box, our standard capture plate. This just makes it taller and longer and captures the head of the pin box on the Rotaflex, the Trailair FlexAir, and the Road Armor pin boxes. Again, that's a part number 6171 from Demco. Today we're going to explain the Demco 6025. It is our capture plate for the Ryde suspension style pin box. The reason we need this is the Ryde suspension pin box has 4 rubber suspension pads in the corners of the pin box. Those pads move both front to back and side to side and give the hitch a twisting action. That twisting action makes for a kind of a jerky turn with our Autoslide. So what we want to do is make it a nice smooth ride, and we want to take that twist. We're not going to negate any of the suspension of the Ryde. It's still going to slide back and forth and handle the chucking, but we are going to take the twisting motion out. So how we install this pin box is on your Ryde, there's going to be 4 bolts, 2 in the front and 2 in the back of the kingpin plate. We're going to remove those 4 bolts. They are a 9/16 bolt, takes a 13/16 wrench, and we'll remove those 4 bolts. We'll slide those 2 restraining rods towards the center of the pin box, and we're going to take these white blocks and we're going to slide them inside along the restraining rods. 2 in the front, 2 in the rear. As you'll see, the block has the self-locking nut inside. There will be a hole in the side of the pin box. The bolt will go through into the nut and we'll tighten that up. That will stop the twisting motion of the pin box. From there, we're going to apply the 6025 capture plate. This plate, you'll note, has a wedge on it. That wedge is designed to slide up into our hitch, and this wedge will turn the head of the hitch. So how this is installed is it will be lifted underneath the pin box. The kingpin will go through the center hole. We want to make sure that the wedge is to the rear of the trailer. Then we are going to replace the bolts. We'll do opposite corners. one in the front, one in the back, and lightly thread those in. Then we'll add the other bolt in the back and the other bolt in the front. Again, with that 13/16 socket, we're going to tighten those down to 85 foot-pounds, and the installation of the MORryde capture plate for the Demco Autoslide is complete. That again is a part number 6025 if you have a MORryde pin box on your trailer. This is the MORryde capture plate. This is the wedge that's going to turn the head of the hitch. Once this is mounted on the kingpin of your trailer, this is going to slide up. As you can see here, the wedge is going to control the turning of the head of our hitch. And we take our capture plates and adjust them all the way out of the way. We want to next show you the Demco 6026, which is the capture plate for a 5th Airborne. There's also, I'm going to just show one version of it. There's also a 6062 for the 5th Airborne extended pin box. We'll discuss that a little bit. How this capture plates works is obviously your 5th Airborne is a suspension style pin box. We do not want our capture plates on the side of the head of our Autoslide getting into the suspension system of the 5th Airborne. So how this particular base plate works is we'll take this lip and hook it on the front of the pin box. We will swing it back so the kingpin comes through here. Obviously the wedge has to be towards the rear of the trailer. We have 2 holes here. The kit comes with the bolts. We will mark the holes. We will drill these 2 holes out, and we will install the bolts and bolt the capture plate up. Again, this is a part number 6026. This is for what's called a standard 5th Airborne pin box. There is also an extended version of the 5th Airborne pin box. Same installation. The plate is just a few inches longer. That is a part number 6062 from Demco. Again, for a 5th Airborne pin box, standard and extended, and 5th Airborne pin boxes from 2019 and older. On the 5th Airborne capture plate, we've talked about the wedge being towards the rear of the trailer. When this is properly installed on your trailer, as you hitch up, that wedge is going to slide right into our hitch behind the jaws. This is going to turn the head of the hitch with the trailer. We have our capture plates adjusted all the way out of the way. Today we want to talk about the Demco 6285 capture plate. This has several uses. It is used for the 5th Airborne pin boxes, a 2020 and newer 5th Airborne pin box, as well as the Lippert Turning Point pin box and the new Gen Y pin box. I'll briefly explain how we mount this, and there are different applications for each particular pin box. For a 5th Airborne, this would be bolted towards the rear of the trailer on the back side of the kingpin. We have the holes there. We would drill the holes, and the hardware to bolt it up is included in the kit. And again, this would just sit on a 5th Airborne pin box, 2020 and newer, directly behind the kingpin. Drill the holes, bolt it up. This would come in right behind the jaws of our hitch, and this will turn the head of the Autoslide to activate the Autoslide. On a Lippert turning point, there will be 2 holes already threaded at the rear of the kingpin on the Lippert turning point pin box. This bracket will sit behind the kingpin. The holes are here. We don't use the nuts. We're just going to use the 2 bolts and bolt it right up on the Lippert turning point pin box. Finally, on the Gen Y pin box, very similar to the 5th Airborne pin box, this bracket again is going to fit on the back side of the kingpin. We're going to mark our 2 holes, drill our 2 holes, run the bolt and the nut, and bolt this on behind the kingpin, and this will activate the slide for an Autoslide. Again, this is for Autoslide by Demco, and it's for use with a 5th Airborne Pinbox 2020 and newer, a Lippert Turning Point Pinbox, or the new Gen Y Pinbox. This is Demco 6285. Once this capture plate is properly bolted on the underside of your Pinbox on the trailer, as you hook up, this wedge is going to slide up into the head of our hitch behind the jaws. The capture plates will be adjusted all the way out of the way, and this block will turn the head of the hitch to activate the slide. We're going to talk about the Demco 6036 capture plate. This is for a Demco Glide Ryde Pinbox, and this is for use with a Demco Autoslide. And again, the Demco Glide Ryde Pinbox is a suspension style pinbox. With a suspension style pinbox, because we have moving components, we do need this locking plate behind the kingpin. How this will attach to your Glide Ride: on the sides of your Glide Ride there are 2 pin plates. We will actually pull the bolt out, support the center kingpin plate, slide the pin plates out, drop the kingpin plate down. We will center this on the back side of the pin box, or in other words, towards the rear of the trailer. This lip will go right against the back of the kingpin plate. We're going to drill 2 1/2-inch holes through the kingpin plate. The hardware is provided. We're going to bolt this through the 1/2-inch holes that we've just drilled, tighten it up, and reinstall the kingpin plate, kind of in reverse order of how we took it off. We're going to insert it back up inside there, install the 2 pin plates on each side, and replace the retaining bolt. Again, this is for use with a Demco Glide Ride Pinbox. It's for use with the Glide Ride in conjunction with the Autoslide, Demco part number 6036. On the Demco 6036, the capture plate for the Demco Glide Ride system, once this is properly placed on the underside of the pin box, as you back in to hook up to your trailer, this wedge will slide into place right behind the kingpin and our jaws. This will control the turning of the head of the hitch with the trailer to activate the slide, and you'll see we have the capture plates adjusted all the way out of the way. We're going to talk about the Demco part number 6095, which is the capture plate for a Tri Glide pin box from Lippert. If you have a Tri Glide pin box, that is a suspension style pin box, we have moving components, so we do need a different capture plate system for use with a Demco Autoslide. This is the capture plate. This will mount behind the kingpin of the trailer. The kingpin will be placed right here. This lip will be on the back side of the kingpin plate. We will fit it up. We will drill a hole in the bottom side of the kingpin plate and install the provided hardware. When mounted on the back side of the kingpin plate of your Lippert Tri Glide, this will slide up behind the jaws of our hitch, and this will turn the head of the Demco Autoslide. Again, part number 6095 for use with a Lippert Tri Glide pin box. Capture plate number 6095 for the Lippert Tri Glide pin box. When this is properly mounted on the pin box of your trailer, as you back in, this capture plate will slide right in behind the kingpin. This wedge will turn the hitch with the trailer, which activates the slide, and our capture plates are adjusted all the way out of the way.